And sooner or later, our wonderful dear friend Gino Castillo will pop in. But since I have you, de Iskra Perez Salcedo, mi hermana, de cubana, de una madre. Ay. How'd you end up going to Middle Passage Remembrance? Why'd you end up going there? What brought you there? When's the first time you went?
Well, I think, it was mostly because I was curious about the history of our community. Obviously, I mean, that's what struck me the most. I wanted, that since I've been here, I wanted to learn everything about this community, and I love learning about our ancestors and everything about our past. I'm a big believer, and there's no way of us knowing where we're going unless we know where we came from. And so, un
momento, un todo familia.
Hi, Gino.
Hello.
This, my friends, is what my little country looks like. Deborah's over there under as Remembrance host. She's just gonna enjoy yourself.
Greetings, hola, hola. I'm just gonna listen in and enjoy this wonderful company that we have. I'm one of the people that that founded the Remembrance program. So this is good. So I just thank you so much for agreeing to participate, and thank Brenda, of course, for being that catalyst that helps bring us together. Now I'm gonna mute and lay back and enjoy.
Well, Gino, give me a little sound check again. Gino?
Yes.
There you go. I was hearing you.
I was just being quiet listening.
You were speaking with Iskra at the hot moment because she was just finishing up a thought, because I just asked her how'd she end up going to Middle Passage Remembrance in the first place and what it had meant to her.
Yeah. As I was saying, I mean, basically, I wanted to learn more about, our community and its history, and then more and more I learned about our community. I learned how bond and how connected we all are, to even our community back home.
And home is.
Well, I mean, back in the 1800s, actually, we had South Carolina was the #1 export of rice into Cuba, of course, because of the plantations. Additionally to that, the women here in South Carolina specifically, a lot of the women here actually helped finance one of the first civil wars that we had back home. Yes. So there's a lot of ties that tie us together, and incredible how we ended up here. And of course, we always say, I always know that we never end up anywhere by chance.
No, but we need some more detail there. I need some names. I need some dates. What's going on here? What do we need to go search for again? There were women here.
Yes, a lot of the richer women here in the South Carolina, they sold their jewelries to help finance one of the first war that our independence war against the Spaniards back home.
See, lesson.
Yes,
lesson.
Yes, yes. So
we had a slight moment from Iskra Perez Salcedo. Now, mi hermano, Gino Castillo. Hola.
I'm here. I'm happy. I'm grateful. I'm honored to be invited to be here. But you know that, Brenda.
Your first, why'd you go to your first Middle Passage Remembrance program here?
Well, coming, I'm going to tell you a little bit who I am so I can explain a little bit better. I'm from Ecuador. I was born in Ecuador, in Quito. And then when I was a very young, I moved to Cuba. And I moved to a neighborhood called Pogoloti. And I grew up my almost entire life there. So I left in my adult life. I left Cuba to come to America. So when I went first to New York. And when I moved down here to Charleston, I was trying to find some of the connection with the life that I had in Cuba. So that being said, the Pogoloti neighborhood in Cuba is 99% Black population in that neighborhood. So that's what I grew up with, being a cultural thing, being just a regular hanging out environment, and also as a religious influence. So I was trying to get connected with the tradition of the African people who came to America in Charleston, because when I first walk in Charleston, in downtown Charleston, of course, by Church Street or on the French Quarter or uptown by after Calhoun, you know, where the real people lives. I was feeling that, I had that feeling that it is not that looks the same that Cuba, but it feels the same. So I connected with people that that's part of the community that from forever in Charleston. And well, you are one of those that we are like so many years here. And when I realized that we had that, that Charleston had that celebration, it was part of me celebrating what is part of my tradition and my religious. I was trying to pay tribute to the ancestors that brought the religion that I am part of. And also I have part family. In my family, it's, I'm a melt pot. So I'm a mix from a Arab, from a Native American, white, and Black, and a big mix of everything. But my cultural background and my cultural religious background is mainly African. So that was one of the ways that I was trying to pay tribute, because I couldn't find exactly what I had in Cuba before to be part of, but this was what I found, and I found that was like amazing. And also I was living by the cemetery in James Island. I remember with you.
Yes.
We were trying to pay some tribute there too, to the slave cemetery that is beside the plantation. So being part of the community and trying to pay tribute and the way I can to the ancestors, that's exactly why I was trying to go there.
Yeah. So Brenda, as you know, in our country, we have big ties to our ancestors. I mean, the African population that came to Cuba has had an enormous, it has basically everything about us came from there. I mean, we are drawn to the drums from the moment we have a sense of hearing. I think, from the wound, we hear the African drums from the moment we are made. So I think having the sensation and being a part of this community gave us a sense of feeling closer to home. And I think that's how Gino feels as well.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. See, Deborah, see what your work does?
Yes, yes. This is so nice.
Hey, what's the work then?
One thing that I would like to say is like in Cuba, this mix, cultural mix, is so natural. It's not that you are looking for something or trying to get into it. It's just like it is there. Before, like maybe in the beginning of the century, it was a little bit different. But I can say the whole 20th century and part of the 21st century, it is just a part of the people because the Cubans is basically the mix between Spain and Africa, and a very very well mixed because you cannot separate as if that easy that mix on the Cuban.
Right.
It's in your DNA. You can't separate the two.
Right.
Coming into the Low Country, I would think you haven't been in New York, and Iskra, you were in Florida before you got to the Low Country.
Right.
There have larger communities with which to, even though we've got that one Saturday, but we know that one Saturday has sprung into all year round. It's certain of us, 'cause it's like we don't want to wait till then.
I felt so bad a couple times that I wasn't able to go because I was working. I really felt that.
Yeah. I mean, Brenda, as you know, I mean, every time there's anything that we promote anything that comes from Cuba, Spoleto, and Gino knows. Anytime anybody from Spoleto, comes our way, and we can promote it, and we can. And we breathe it in, we suck it in as much as we can. Anything that has to do with, obviously with going back home. I mean, we go to Miami a lot because we're in need of it. We need that presence. It's like it's part of our DNA. We can't help it. And you have been in our home. Both of you have been in our home, and you know how Cuban we are. There's no way around it. And we have tried to give that sense to our community, and we're very proud of our roots, and hopefully our children will continue our traditions, because we don't want to lose what our ancestors left us, and I think that's when the Remembrance Day is such an honorary day for those that have passed on to other. We honor our dead. We do. There's no, for us, it's just they're still with us. They're not gone completely. They're still there, and we need to honor them. And it's not just one day out of the year. And that's, I guess, that's part of the African religions that are, in our culture. They're amongst us, and it's in our dances, and it's in our festivities, and it's in our foods, and it's in everything we do. They're part of who we are.
Well, in my case, it goes very deep, of course, for the cultural reasons and trying to remember the connection with the home, but also it's a very deep and religious thing for me. As Iskra said, it's like it's something very deep for me as a religious, and even more since I'm the last couple of years, or maybe last 4 years, I've been studying a lot more about my religion. And one of the most important things that we have there is our eguns, and our eguns are our deads, and we need to pay tribute to them. And so I have all my religious stuff in my house, but I need a place to go and pay tribute to my deads. I have my altar for my own eguns, but we should do what we do in this celebration to pay tribute to all our eguns to keep us safe and to be among us as we are among them. That is very important. The Eguns are our protectors.
And considering it's Charleston, they're everywhere.
Oh,
they're
yeah.
Everywhere.
Very, very, very deep African village.
You don't have to look. You just have to
breathe.
Just be you.
Yeah.
Just be you. The Low Country has a draw, that others may not understand, who come from communities of people that have enclaves in other cities. Like folks would say to you, how the heck you managed to break off to Charleston? Because you got to come off of 95 to get down here. With you, yes, you keep going back to Florida and peeping, but we know, like you and I know, Charleston is home. Since we've been here, the flights have increased.
Yes.
We can get in and out of here, go to anywhere, no problem. You've been back to Cuba, was it twice?
Who?
You, Gino.
Me? I've been since 2017. I have been going to Cuba every 3 months until last January.
Okay.
Yeah.
He's been busy, so he's been getting in tune and touch with his spirit. Now, as you move across and deal with others from across the diaspora, Iskra, I know you deal with everything from migrant issues, Mexicans, Dominicans, whatever, Puerto Ricans, whatever flow has to be coming down, dealing with the Hispanic and Latino community. And I'm going to merge the two of them because you're working politically and you're working musically, which music is politics anyway.
Yeah.
Have you seen the expansion of the Hispanic Latino community in the Low Country in terms of those who have active voices as voters, as those who are business owners, enrolling kids in school, such and such? Are we now having a more buoyant community? Not saying we're rivaling New York and Florida,
well, yeah.
but where there's a presence. We can't forget the Brazilians, because we got them in cut.
we have the Brazilian community in Charleston has been bigger than the Hispanic community for years.
Yeah.
I think they are, I don't know about numbers, just with my experience and the communication with them. I believe that they are the largest Latino community in the local.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, we have seen a huge growth in the Hispanic community. I think, when we first got here, I can't believe it's been 8 years since we first got here. When we first got here, we were the few Cubans, and now I see that even the Cuban community has grown enormously. But there are other communities that have grown a lot. Dominicans, Venezuelans. We have a huge Venezuelan community that has started migrating into the Low Country. And I know a lot of this because I open up their new businesses, and I help them with their paperwork. And so I think people are starting to get more integrated, and of course that's one of the things that I try to do is try to help people integrate into the community, not just us, working and being, but also politically. I want us to have more representation, and that was one of the reasons why. And we're glad that we're part of the brand new Hispanic Council commission for the city of Charleston. And there's a lot of good people in there, and hopefully this will expand. But yes, we have seen it grow.
Yeah, I definitely seen it grown. In my field, it is a little bit weird how I have this feedback. but I know it is because I am more old school Latino music. So, and
Okay.
I won't give up with the new tendencies that are, I just want. So I,
Hey, se
a
la
lot of,
bomba es muy importante. Hey,
you know,
without you, Gino, ay, ay, ay.
well, I'm drinking coffee and Iskra is drinking beer, I think so.
No, I promise it's ginger ale. I swear you not. I woke up this morning thinking it was Saturday.
So the mimosa thing.
Gave myself a day off.
So the kind of music that I play is my followers are a lot more just American and a lot of African American and a few Latinos. They understand that what I do, and it's nothing wrong with that. You know, it's like young people has grown up listening to different kind of music now. So it was a big surprise to me, like going back to Cuba in 2017, then walk the streets,
Yeah.
listening reggaeton, 100%.
Yeah.
And I was like, what is happening? You know, what is happening here? But then I learned that it happens because outside of Cuba, like people come to when I used to have my salsa nights before all this situation, and young people used to come excited. Oh my God, this is a Cuban night! So we played and we play live, and then they enjoy it. And then when the recorded music is coming, they said, "So when you gonna play Cuban music?" And I said, "I've been playing recorders and live and the whole night." And he said, "No, no, 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 no. Reggaeton is a Cuban music." And it's like, what? What is wrong? Actually, reggaeton is not Cuban. It's Panamanian.
Yeah.
And then from Panama, I went to Puerto Rico and became famous because it's a Puerto Rican thing.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, because of that reason, and the majority of the Latino people that I've seen that is moving down here are young. So it is hard for me to really get in touch with the big amount of Latino community. I know that is more, but in my case, it's just I've seen an increase on Latino people coming to my shows. Yes, I've seen it the last couple of years. It's increasing, most definitely.
So we're getting the more young professionals and young families coming in, not necessarily the elders. They haven't they coming in professional. They haven't told their mothers and fathers yet that listen, you can go fishing. Because I know mommy was still here. Oh man, wait a second. We don't have to go to Florida? Yeah, because a lot of people overlook just the life, the spirit life that one is able to attain here.
Mm-hmm.
That's bottom line.
Yeah.
You know,
I would like to say that I completely support people moving everywhere in the world, wherever they want to go, because I am one of those. You know, I've been moving around, and I like to be welcomed everywhere I go. But one thing that we should understand is the Latinos or is people from Minnesota or from California coming to Charleston, doesn't matter. We should understand the culture of the South and respect what it has been here. You know, it's like we shouldn't come here expecting to change the things how we want it.
Yep.
I want this to be like this. When I was in New York, this was like that. When I was in California, okay, that was over there. Of course, talking about respecting people and all that stuff, I'm always gonna stand up for the human rights. But I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about manners and basic things on life. You know, that's what I try to do. You know, to try to be part of a community that is here. I'm not trying to bring my community to impose another community. So I would like for everybody to see that.
Sorry, that was my mother.
About that.
Talking about ancestors.
Gino, you and your drum now. I know you went back to Ecuador.
I went back to Ecuador just once. since 2009.
Dang. No. Didn't you go to Ecuador while I was here? I've only been here since 2010.
Yeah, and it's, it's a long story.
Mm-hmm.
I was born in Ecuador, but
no, I thought you went back with the guys to play one time.
Yeah, once. I went in 2014.
There you go.
Yeah.
I know you've been since I've been here.
Yeah. I've been there once since 2014.
Yeah, that's the only time I can get to keep up with how your music flows. And get to watch and see the rhythms of things. Like, this is my favorite story, and I'm still sticking to it because I'm trying to find this rhythm.
Toni Cade Bambara is an African-American writer and author. She's transitioned, she's passed on, but she is the inspiration for the Remembrance program that we do. And what she said was, and I'm just going to read the quote. In 1987, she at a folklorist conference, a storytellers conference, she spoke these words, and that became the inspiration for those of us that do this program. She's saying, "I know we must reclaim those bones in the Atlantic Ocean. Do you know that there is not a plaque, a day, a ritual, or an hour that is erected in memorial to those 100 million bodies in the Atlantic Ocean? All those African bones in the briny deep, all those people who said no and jumped ship, all those people who tried to figure out a way to steer, to navigate amongst the sharks. We don't call upon that power. We don't call upon those spirits. We don't celebrate those ancestors. We don't have a marker, an expression, or a song that we use to acknowledge them. We have nothing to indicate that those are our people and they mattered. We willingly self-administer knockout drops. More horrendous is the fact that we don't tap into the ancestral presence in those waters." And of course, that this was in 1987, and she was speaking to us here. And that is what inspired us to begin this program, to really give honor to and tribute and remember, to give to those who actually not so much made it over here, but were lost in the ocean during the passage, from the ships that were either jumped overboard, were thrown overboard, that died, and they were ill on the ship. So that's kind of what we were talking about. And she was absolutely correct. We were not doing what we need to do, So so what I hear you saying is that, there's certain people that do pay homage and do, but we were not doing that. We have completely ignored that whole group of people. Their humanity was completely gone. So this program is to restore that humanity. I mean, these people had hopes and dreams, in their own lives, and they were sort of just, they were put on ships, and all of a sudden, everything was gone. And so those that made it, which I'm a descendant of, they had to develop a whole new life and a whole new everything, but they were those who actually just never made it. And that's what the program is essentially for.
Yeah.
So Brenda, does that do it? I mean, I'm trying to stay in the background.
Now, I needed to quote, because I'm going to lead into something that you can see him itching to say. Go ahead, Gino.
Yes. I'm muting again.
And Brenda, as you know, we just had our 40th anniversary of El Mariel, which was 125,000 Cubans came on floats and boats from Miami from Cuba to the Florida Keys. During that time period, I just actually had an interview where, I expressed, the need to remember all of those that didn't make it, to the other side, because we of course, we always talk about, the ones that made it here and how we have prospered. And I think a lot of the reason why we prospered is because we had a need to show them that, you know, we weren't what they told us we were. But, you know, but I think there's a need also in the way I told my story was, you know, the hurt, you know, the pain. People need to feel the pain that we felt at that time. And what about, you know, all those lives that were lost along the way? They didn't get to tell their stories, you know, and so we need to remember those that didn't get to tell their stories. And this is a wonderful, you know, way of doing it. The way you guys have put this day together for them. And I hope one day my community will be able to do something similar for those lives that were lost at sea, you know, and we were all looking for the same thing, you know, and it was just a human right that was taken away from us.
What they say, what they call it, survivor's remorse. It comes in many ways, but then we have to also gear up and be our ancestors' dream, and especially those who have, you add more migrancy to it. You have enforced migrancy, and then, oh, well, y'all chose to come here. Okay, well, we still got to figure out how to maintain spirit while we're here, and in finding similar ground and finding similar path, even in spaces and places where the large numbers aren't there, but the spirit, that drum, the first piece of technology there ever was, will always get the message out. I just want his hands. I just want his hands. Let me see your hands, Gino. Let them see your hands. Se los manos de la bomba.
Hands.
They talk a lot, and they bring forth a language that many don't recognize. I'm still on this thing. The Native Americans had the opportunity since all their children learn how to do the jingle dance. They had their Facebook group go from 0 to 65,000 in less than a week. And I'm like, hold up. We out here in the diaspora. We ain't got a rhythm. And it makes you, again, we've had an opportunity through these virtual Sankofa interviews to speak with folks in Nigeria, Tanzania. See, I can say it correctly now. Tanzania, Jamaicans who live in Kenya, but who are by COVID, because we're still in the middle of a pandemic. Folks in Jamaica, we've spoke to them from, what was today, Virginia, in DC, in Kingstree, and Columbia, and it's beautiful the way the spirit has managed to move, and allow us not just that 4-hour period that we always, as soon as everything's done, we leave. I've had more communing in this week and a half of virtual Sankofa interviews than I've had the entire time in Middle Passage, because I've actually had time to stop and talk to y'all.
Well, you know, it is always important to find a way to keep doing things, but also I feel that it's really important to have that community, not just mental, but physical, because that energy that we exchange when we are together, celebrating and singing and playing drums, we are calling our spirits. And of course, some people have some religion, some other people have another religion. I have an African religion, and I'm initiated in the Afro-Cuban branch, but I am tilting a little bit more to the traditional African now. So I'm studying a lot more of the traditional without leaving my origin of the Afro-Cuban, but studying both to understand why there's some difference between one each other.
And most don't get that. You know, most don't get that. They're like, listen, some flavors happened when they got to these different islands. And, you know, and it's like a young man explained the other day, Cosmic, in terms of talking about hoodoo, and made us understand, listen, you couldn't, the pot wasn't there, so you made use of the little red bag.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And that can, That's the same as for some as the Nganga. Then there were so many more similarities than there are differences. And I guess that's why I could walk in here and be okay.
Yeah. You know, it's very important that we understand the similarities, but it's very important that we understand the differences and why. Not just to know, Kudu and Voodoo is not the same because Kudu was born in Africa and Voodoo was born in Haiti. Yeah, it's just reality. But why? Makes that difference? Or what makes different the African religions that came to America, and why some of those are mixed here, and why are not mixed over there in the Yoruba land? So what's the difference between the Orisha and the Ifa and the Ganga? Because those are three different branches of one continent that is bigger than our continent. You know, so we need to understand all of those, and that doesn't mean that it's right or wrong.
Nope.
Give us the understanding of why, and in our own beliefs, we can make a choice to get closer to one or each other, or the Afro-Cuban that is a mix of all of those.
On me, the way I look at it, I just get a touch of everybody and I'm good.
Oh yeah, I am a very, you know, I was saying that because I was saying you have people from several religions coming to the celebration, and that to me is really
a beautiful thing.
Yeah, because I am a Yoruba, I am following Ifa, but I respect every single other belief. That's respect mine.
Middle Passage Remembrance.
Yes.
You have someone calling the Adon. You've got Native American smudging. You've got this one doing that. And it is truly one of the few times. That's why I'm like, I don't care what else I'm doing. If I'm tired all week, let me have rest enough and prepare myself for that second Saturday in June. That's my party. That's my one party. You know, and I love it. That's why I guess I can make sure I put this time in, because I enjoy the fact that I'm going to be able to show other people what the spirit of Middle Passage Remembrance means, what remembrance actually means, how we're literally going to work virtual Sankofa, and know that we can go all across the diaspora and visit with our cousins.
Yeah. I think it's like I think this Middle Passenger ceremony, it has something even more special. The several celebrations that the diaspora have, because usually that's something that I will love as a trying to become a priest in my religion. My goal, I feel that is my call to unify the humanity. I'm not talking about religions. Human beings unified as one, as equal, as the same as we are. You know, we are the same. We just have more or less of this or that or whatever. Doesn't matter, of the geographical situation or historical beliefs. But we are human beings that we should be better together instead separate, you know. So I feel like the Middle Passage have that spirit. When I've been there, that energy that is put in everybody with different beliefs or backgrounds and cultural backgrounds and economical backgrounds, everybody's there together to pay tribute to all these people that didn't make it.
Yes.
And that energy speaks super loud.
Yeah, it carries us through. That's why some who haven't been, they have no idea what we walk away with.
Yeah.
You know, and it especially when depending on different ATRs that you may belong to or different factions and stuff, where you're not going back into these big pockets. But Sullivan's Island itself has got a power, and then we got all them peoples on the shores from all over. It's like, yeah, hey y'all, we're above ground, but we got you. And I thank each and every one of you for popping in.
And we rather be the voice out here for those that are suffering in there. So we will continue to do our activism from here.
It has never been really close.
Okay.
I traveled with my American passport, and last time I was there was January, and I didn't went back because of all this pandemic, but I was supposed to be back.
Yeah, there are 12. You can go on the U.S. travel thing. There are 12. You can get a visa. There are 12 reasons for you to get the visa, and it's very easy to just get one of those visa. And I think, you know, as long as you stay at an Airbnb and not at a hotel,
Yeah,
you know, you'll be fine.
it's super easy if you want to go. It's not any restriction really. What you have to do is like what I do, and I recommend people to do that when they want to go, is like go online, book a flight with JetBlue that is flying from Charleston. They make one stop in Fort Lauderdale. So when you get to Fort Lauderdale, you gotta go to the Ask Desk and buy your Cuban visa. And usually the best and the easiest way is, well, the 12 categories that you have there, you just put like you're attending to a concert or a cultural event or something like that. It's called that, or festival, because that's, you know, usually you are going to attend some of those events either way. So if you fill that box, it's no question. And then you gotta book an Airbnb, and then you fly from Fort Lauderdale straight to Havana, and then you do everything over there.
So you get a visa at the airport?
Yep. It's a yellow paper that you put into your passport and don't lose it.
Well, you know, Brenda, since I've been in Charleston, all I have heard is diversity and inclusion. And I wish I would see more of it, to be honest with you. I want to see our community come together, not just when things are wrong. We need to work together all the time, you know, not just when we're hurting. And we do a great job. You know, the Low Country does a great job of coming together when we're hurting. We saw it. We've seen it. You know, in the Emmanuel 9, historically, we've come together. And yes, but, you know, we need to come together even when things are good. And, you know, unfortunately, I just don't see that all the time. And, you know, it should not have to take another life. It just should not have to take another life for us to wake up and see that, you know, there's something wrong here, that something is not right. And we all have our own responsibilities, and we all have our own powers to make a difference.
Amen.
In what's in the world.
Amen. Mi hermano.
What I can say that is not being said about those things, and as my hope, as I said before, talking about the Middle Passage, is that we can come together as just one group of humans, the human race. You know, it's like I don't believe that we are different races in the world. I believe that we are the human race with difference. We have some differences, yes, of course. We should embrace those to being together and forget about the complex of superiority or inferiority that brings that superiority complex to the front. And we need to understand that we are superior than what we are showing as humans. And the only thing that will save us most definitely is love, but real love, not the word, the action, the feeling, the spirit, the energy of love, the real energy of love. Uh, we are different in so many ways, but one thing that makes us being the same is our beliefs. And if we analyze every different belief in the world, if you go to the beginning of every scriptures of those, uh, all that said the same: love. That you stop greedy and spread love. So if we are truly followers of Ifa or Osha, that's what our religion said. If you're a truly Christian, you will have to follow that because Jesus is one of the biggest examples of love, of sharing love. And if you go to the other religions, it's exactly the same. So I really believe, and I want to encourage everybody to step aside of our comfort zone and our fake culture that we think we have. Like they try to put us on a pedestal, and just go to the ground and put our feet on the ground, barefoot on the earth, and feel that we can be all together and love each other. We are here to save the world and the humanity. That's our role, and I believe truly that. And I just want to share that with everybody.
Light. And there we have it, virtual Sankofa, the 23rd annual Charleston Middle Passage Remembrance, coming to you virtually. We can still bring you love even through the internet. I love it. I thank you, mi hermano, mi hermana.
Thank you for having me.
One day we will no longer be physically distancing.
Yes.
And we can eat and have some good music and just be.
Absolutely.
Thank you both so much.